Our Patreon pick this week was coming to us hot from Steve Harvey's Ghost. Thank you for the pick. We're watching...
That's Hunter.
That is Hunter.
Whoa.
I'm glad you guys remember these things. I don't. And of course, this is the 2001 film Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius that he picked. I guess I'll give the synopsis of this film. This is the movie that came out. It was a precursor to the show. So it's trying to set up who Jimmy Neutron is and kind of the universe, but also this is like just some fucking kids show. Basically, Jimmy contacts aliens. The aliens come down and take all of the parents of the world to sacrifice them to their god. They have a romp with the kids, because the parents aren't around. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And then they're like, okay, we want our parents back. This sucks. So they go to their planet and they defeat the egg alien's god, and then go home. This movie is funny. Tanner, goes to your
haiku. Let me read my haiku.
I'm doing that. I gave you a fucking segue.
Neutron, Boy Genius. A world run by kids. Rule of ultimate freedom. Fails in just one day. This movie has destroyed libertarianism forever.
Whatever that means.
No! Guys, I like Jimmy Neutron a lot, okay? Do you guys remember that one episode where he gets, like, shoes that allow him to run really fast? And at the end of the episode,
yes.
He can't stop, so he eventually finds a way to get the shoes off. But, he's been running so fast now that he's just goop.
I do remember that.
Yeah, it ends with his friends just poking him.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Gelatinizing.
Yeah, this one, I also had a heavy dose of nostalgia watching this. I agree with Jackson in that I thought this one was surprisingly consistently funny given its age and it being for children.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue with this one, in my opinion, and I'm not even gonna say the graphics, they're horrific, but I'm so used to these characters I can ignore it completely, frankly.
I think it looks fine. You're just mean.
I think it looks fine in that the art style is consistent enough within the show that you can grow to accept it. I think it does, from some objective standpoint, look bad, but
I think there was some liquid at some point that looked like total shit, but the rest of it I think is fine.
This isn't even the argument I want to be making. The one I think my biggest problem is that it has a very disjointed plot. This literally feels like just a bunch of episodes shoved together. It's there's one where all the parents are gone and we're fucking around with that. There's, the episode where they sneak out and go to a thing. There's an episode where they're flying through space. There's an episode where they're rescuing the thing. There's obviously connections between all of these things, but it very much feels like, okay, we're doing this thing, and now we're doing this thing, and now we're doing this thing,
I didn't really get that feeling, unfortunately.
Yeah, I also didn't really get that feeling. I think it all feels fairly coherent for the most part. The big thing for me, though, my biggest issue with this film, Jimmy just constantly forgets he has a shrink ray that could solve literally all of his problems at all times throughout the film.
Yeah, I had a lot of minor detailed problems with this movie. You can tell that this is them trying to figure out who Jimmy Neutron is and how this world works and the characters and everything, because Jimmy is just a lot less intelligent in this movie. Sure, he invented all this other stuff, but you could tell they're really just trying to flesh out all the characters. But I think it's funny that Tanner brings up the whole graphics animation thing, because the very introduction sequence of this movie felt like I was watching somebody's Gmod movie maker or whatever you want to call that. Right as it started, which I'm that's not a great start for this movie, but it took a little warming up to get back into the rhythm of how this show looked and how it was. But I did enjoy it. I didn't think it was crazy over the top, but the nostalgia train definitely carried me through it.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Tanner, I also found this film to be rather funny. The thing is, though, once they landed on the planet was where I just kind of checked out at that point. I was okay, I don't really care all that much about what's happening at this point anymore. Everything prior to that I thought was quite the hoot, It was great seeing our pals Sheen and Carl again. They're consistently great. Fucking seeing Nick get his comeuppance at the end of the movie was just hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. Once the parents were doing their little dances around the big old chicken god, it's just kind of lost the interest, especially when they were fucking fighting off the aliens and shit like that. Just oh, these kids using what makes them unique to fight off these scary aliens. It's whoa, okay, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of dumb. The fight scene is kind of whatever. I kind of was like, this is kind of dumb, but it's Jimmy Neutron, so whatever. I don't know.
Guys, I think some of this movie is pretty funny. I'm with Nico in thinking that it falls off a lot once they get onto the alien planet. I thought it was a lot less funny there. Obviously, I'm also with you guys in thinking that Jimmy's kind of a dumbass in this movie, which is, a little funny, given,
Right.
Who he is. There's a shit ton of plot conveniences and inconsistencies. This is not a very well-made movie, and of course it also looks like total dog shit, didn't age at all. But who was really guessing that? I think it's okay, though. I think the first part's fine. I think it's a fun little nostalgia trip, but it's not a great movie overall.
Yeah.
I'm like, in reference to, like, Jimmy being pretty dumb, I think it is important to keep in mind Jimmy is, like, in elementary school, and so he does still have, like, a bunch of those, like, childlike traits, he's still, like, very impulsive, he's, like, kind of lazy as well, where it's like, oh, there's, like, all this basic stuff that I need to do, but it's like, well, I may as well create an entire invention so I don't have to do this dumb thing, like, brush my teeth or whatever. It's like, I can kind of forgive him being, like, a little dumb at times, but... like, he still creates some pretty neat stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the fucking antagonists are, like, retarded, too. The chicken looks really weird as well. It doesn't fit with, like, the style of everything. You guys are mentioning the water, but for the chicken, for me, it was the big thing that stood out like a sore thumb. It looked very strange. It's really funny, too, is that I saw that chicken, I was like, oh my god, I get some neuron activation, because I didn't remember anything about this movie. And then I saw the chicken, and it all came flooding back.
Dang, dude.
Well, boys, Dylan... what do you think you're gonna be ranking this movie here?
That's a good question. I don't know. Like I said, the nostalgia train carried me hard for this. I didn't think this movie was crazy over the top, but it's also not a bad movie, so I gave Jimmy Neutron a B-.
That's actually shocking, because I'm also giving this film a B-.
We've rated movies the same before, buddy. I don't know what's so shocking.
Literally never.
Even more shocking, I'm giving it an A-.
Whoa. Nostalgia train. He got first class nostalgia train tickets.
I sure did.
And personally, I gave it a C+, so I'm kind of in the same boat as Nico and Dylan here.
Whoa, let's go.
For some reason, the website's not showing the updated ranking. Okay, there we go, it's B! It landed at a B overall.
I will take it.
Sounds about right.